We're excited to discuss and debate over how brands, agencies, and technology partners are using hyperlocal targeting in order to better engage with the different segments that comprise the multicultural U.S. consumer base.
Landscape. I think it's really important to put the focus on neighborhoods and begin to kind of focus again on this hyperlocal level and looking at these neighborhoods, because the fact is there is lots of variances, and so I think historically we've relied on targeting based on just kind of looking at those top 10 Hispanic DMAs and that have a heavy percentage of Hispanics. But I know with Max Point's hyperlocal kind of focus, we've been able to kind of look at commonalities on a neighborhood level as opposed to kind of just looking at broad DMAs where there is historically a large percentage of Hispanics. So for Max Point, it's bringing it down to that hyperlocal level, understanding at a neighborhood level and grouping commonalities of people so that we could have that ability to speak and adapt to the changing landscape.
As marketers, I think we're always faced with a challenge of making sure that we're trying to be inclusive but not so exclusive that we're trying to alienate. And we do see that the Hispanic population is continuing to all these emerging markets, but to Laura's point, we need to go a little bit more focused. These communities will stay in one area traditionally. So when we do look at hyper-local marketing, we also have to look at the data and insights and research to make sure that we are delivering a specific message. And at the same time, these communities are very knit and niche, but whoever's coming in should essentially be open to the opportunity of the community that they are visiting. And I think when we're also looking at the advertising opportunities, there's definitely different types of mediums that'll allow you to, with precision, to be a little bit more precise and not necessarily give you the opportunity to alienate. So for example, something that's more broad-reaching or less targeted may allow you the opportunity to possibly alienate someone with a message. So I think the media platform is definitely crucial in terms of making sure that we're not alienating any consumers.
I think we first have to acknowledge that this bicultural audience lives in both worlds. And again, like I said, I'm going to use many examples. There's a BuzzFeed video that exists called "I'm Latino, but I'm not," you know, and then whatever. There's a number of different people who, you know, finish that statement. And one of the gentlemen in this video says, you know, when I'm at home, I'm in El Salvador. But when I walk out that door, I'm in America. And I have to live in both of those worlds. And that's their reality. And what many of the people in the video have said is, I never thought of myself as bicultural. I just lived that life. That's just who I was. One of the other gentlemen says, you know, ni soy de aquí, ni soy de allí. And I know that we've heard that. And again, that's their reality. So because of those things, I think that we have to look closely at their media habits, how they're consuming media, where they're consuming it. They're consuming it in both languages, and you know, on TV, radio, online, et cetera. So you have to acknowledge their biculturalism, and then you also have to look closely at where and how they're consuming media.
With some of the campaigns that we've run, we've seen that serving relevant, you know, culturally relevant English creative really resonates, and people are engaging. And then conversely, you know, in some neighborhoods, Spanish creative is engaging. So I don't think it's one or the other. It's just being able to optimize off of both and really drive the results that you need.
When we're talking about the different ethnicities, kind of hone in on what they're focusing on rather than us trying to make sure that whatever our communication strategy is essentially more focused on the content that is most relevant to them and they're consuming. So it's real-time populating specific articles or content specific to any client as well as what they're interested in reading. So for example, one of our clients, a CPG client, was launching a new cooking product, and we tried to specifically hone in on certain zip codes and areas around certain grocery stores. And what we did was, through this specific product, was able to focus in on recipe content and food content that they were consuming at the same time. So that let us be a little bit, obviously, especially from a food perspective, ethnicity plays a huge role. So we were less focused on us forcing the creative upon them or the type of recipe that they were going to receive, but more so aligning with the content or recipes that they were already interested in and looking into so that we can just populate that ad unit for them.